Hi, you're listening to This Is Not Your Practice Life. I'm your host, Macy Renee, and we are going on a journey together, my friends. I'm a certified life and emotional intelligence coach. And if you really want to step into your highest self, there are a few non-negotiables you're going to have to learn, and I am just the person to help you do it. No matter your past, I'm here to help you create a more fulfilling future. So stick around with me. Not only will I teach you how to navigate your brain's daily mind drama, but I'll help you actually understand your mind, your emotions, why you do the things you do, and why others do the things they do. Most importantly, I'll help you build the self-awareness skills to create whatever results you want. It's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. After all, this is not your practice life. Good morning, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. My name is Macy, and I'm so excited that you are joining me today. We have a great episode. We are going to talk about how to work through FOMO, which is fear of missing out, and not feeling wanted or fitting in a group setting. So this was a requested topic sent to me anonymously on my Instagram. I loved it. I can't believe I don't already have an episode on this, and I'm so grateful to whoever submitted it. And I have several ways to look at FOMO and not fitting into a group that maybe you've never thought of before or heard of before. I have some different perspectives, and I'm going to share all of it. Really quickly before I do that, I just want to give a little update. This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast is now trademarked and officially mine. You may have noticed that there hasn't been a new episode released in a couple of weeks, which isn't really the norm for me. But my attorney got back with me and let me know that after, I think it took like over a year, maybe 14 months, my trademark was officially approved, which means that this podcast is now legally protected and nobody can swoop in and use this, content or name as their own and claim it to be theirs. So that's really exciting because a lot of times when you're building a business and you're building a brand, you can name your programs, you can have all of this intellectual property that's yours, and people can swoop in a lot of times and take the name and start calling their own program that. And the issues with that is that if they get a trademark on it, they can tell you to basically erase, delete, get rid of all of the work that you've done under that name, even if you've had it longer, even if you've been working on it for years. And it can be a very devastating thing. And for many of you, if you go back and listen to the earlier episodes of the podcast, my podcast name back then was Becoming Your Highest Self. It was very similar, not the same as someone else's podcast in the industry, but very similar. And both under the category of personal development. This person trademarked their name, and basically they never came for me, but if at any point they wanted to, they could have. And they could have told me to change all the intros of my podcast and start over and to take all of my stuff down. And I think at that time I had done like 100 and something episodes worth of work, and I didn't want that letter from any attorney. I didn't want to have all of my hard work removed or erased or basically have to start over from scratch. And so in a way, instead of waiting to get a cease and desist letter, I decided, you know what, I'm going to start fresh and I'm going to come up with a name that is not currently being used, and I'm going to start the process of protecting my intellectual property that I've worked so hard on for the last several years of being a business owner. And so after 14 months, it passed. And so now we're good, you guys. We are good over here. Okay, in addition to that, I waited for that process to be done, and now This Is Not Your Practice Life is also available on YouTube. So if you're a big YouTube fan, I recently took the time to get my podcast moved over to YouTube, which was brand new. I've stayed off YouTube for this last, 5 years I've had my podcast, and now it's on there. So you can enjoy it on YouTube if you want to. All right. So those are some updates. I didn't record some podcast episodes for you, but now I'm back and I'm going to catch you up and make sure you don't miss anything. And we're going to talk about FOMO today. All right, let's do it. So, how to work through FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. That's FOMO. So if you're like, what the hell is FOMO? Fear of missing out. And this phrase is used a lot of times whenever there is something going on that's maybe fun. Like let's say there's a trip planned and you can't go for whatever reason. You might say, oh, I'm going to have such FOMO, which means I'm so fearful of missing out on that. And we all feel this in some ways or another. We've probably all felt that sting of wanting to do something and then not being able to do it for whatever reason and having a lot of feelings and emotions around it. So let's dig in. The first place that I want to start with FOMO is talking about why FOMO even happens to begin with. I think when we start with understanding why it's happening, it makes it a little bit easier to know how to work through it. So here is my unique spin on FOMO. I think whenever FOMO bubbles up, it is usually because intuitively it is something your system really wanted or wants to take part in. Like it wants to do the thing. Whatever the thing is, your intuition is like, in a perfect world, if I had a magic wand, if there were no obstacles, I would be there. And here's the unique thing that I think about this. I always think our intuition and those nudges that we have a lot of times are our highest self and really try to tell us our next steps. But for various reasons, we sometimes push our intuition down, we push our intuition away, and we don't listen to it, or we don't operate in a higher level like skill set in order to figure out exactly why we're not doing something, problem solve through it if we can, and then go from there. So when people, have something intuitively that they're like, oh yeah, I really, really want to do that, and then they don't, right? Or they think that they can't. A lot of times it comes down to maybe the timing. Maybe there are multiple things going on the same date or the same time frame, and timing wise, just based on other commitments, you can't. Sometimes it is money related. It's like, I really want to do that, but I don't see how I'm going to have the money, or I don't know if I'm going to find the money, or I don't know if I feel comfortable with the money. It can also be our own subconscious sneakily saying we don't belong, or we wouldn't fit in, or maybe we shouldn't go, right? Or just feeling a lot of indecision around going. So it's like your intuition is like, I think we should do that. I really want to go. I don't want to feel like I'm missing out. But then subconsciously it's like, maybe I'm saying all of this to myself because I don't know that I would belong, or I don't know if I should really do it. I don't know if I should really go. So here's what the fear is around FOMO. It's usually around what will happen at this event or at this experience when I'm not there. It's really asking ourselves subconsciously or consciously, like, what am I going to miss out on? What are the stories or the jokes or the experiences? Like, what am I not going to know that everybody else knows if I know a bunch of people that are going and I can't go? So it's like this fear of I'm going to miss out on the stories. I'm going to miss out on the jokes. I'm going to miss out on the emotions or the tears or whatever this experience may bring, the experiences, the memories, the fun. Like, I'm going to miss it. And it's bothersome to me because I want to be a part of those things. So I always think the way that we start to work through this, the fear of missing out, is by first getting really clear on, why am I not going? Or why am I missing out? I like to always bring myself back to my own power, okay? And I highly encourage you to do this for yourself as well, because a lot of times when, we're not emotionally aware of things, it can feel like life is just happening to us and it's not in our favor and we have no control. And then there's a lot of disappointment, there's resentment, there's frustration, sadness. There's just a bunch of emotions that swarm over us and linger and kind of affect our mood or how we proceed. So rather than feeling almost like a victim, like my life, it keeps happening to me, I like to always grab my power back. And I think with FOMO, one of the very first ways that you can work through this is ask yourself, why am I not going? Like, why am I not going? And just really get clear on that answer, because it's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you if it's like, I'm not going because I don't have the money to go. I'm not going because I don't want to spend the money to go, even though I have the money to go. I don't want to go because I don't have the time. Or I don't want to go because my spouse doesn't want me to go and I don't want to be in an argument with them. I'm not going to go because there are other ways I could spend that weekend. Or I'm not going because my cousin is getting married and I find it important to be there. You go on and on and on. You can explore this so deeply. Why am I not going? And really, really remind yourself that it's a powerful choice if you're not going. Like, you're making a choice, okay? And from there, based on the reason that you give yourself, I'm not going because I don't want to spend the money, or it's more expensive than I thought it would be after looking up hotels or looking up the trip or looking, all the things. Or I don't want to go because, or I do want to go, but I'm not going because the time commitment that it's going to take. I don't want to be away from my kids for that long. Whatever it is, then you get to ask yourself, okay, this is where the higher level of thinking comes in. Do I want to problem solve to put myself there or try to put myself there? Like, do I want to problem solve through this? I really believe that everything is always figure outable, especially for things that we really want. And I think whenever we feel a twinge of FOMO, again, it's coming from this intuition of, I really, in a perfect world, if I had the magic wand, if there were no obstacles in my way, I would just be there. Like, it's just something innately in us that's like, I would go. And for whatever reason, there's an obstacle keeping you from going. And then there's the fear of the emotions that you're going to feel by not being there at the thing that you intuitively felt drawn to be at. And so you get to ask yourself, do I want to problem solve to put myself there? Based on my reason of why I'm not, do I want to problem solve for that, which requires more skill? Okay. So if we're not even aware of this, a lot of times we just accept whatever we've decided as fate or as the answer that we're going to go with, and then we don't do anything about it. And so we just marinate in those uneasy, yucky emotions that we don't want to feel. And then we worry like, oh, what's going to happen when I'm not there? I wanted to be there. I wanted to be there. Now, if it is something that is solvable, then there's the opportunity for you to listen to that gut intuition. If it's not, right, if it's not going to happen at all, even with your best effort, even with the best of problem solving, then you need to ask yourself, okay, is this something that's ever going to happen again? And can I use this as a teaching moment for what goals I want to make for myself? So I recently taught a free program called Breakthrough, and we covered a little bit about money. And for some people that struggle with money, it's usually that money makes their decisions for them. So a phrase that I use is, did you choose or did money choose for you? So let's say that there's something that you really, really want to do and you would absolutely do it. And you look at the price tag and then you look at your bank account and whether the money's there or not, it feels like money is making the decision for you, because maybe it's like, if I spend it, I don't think I'm going to have enough left, or maybe I don't even see the amount, like the balance available to do it. And so it's not that your gut and intuition told you no, it's that money chose for you. And so if you are truly in that situation where money is choosing for you, Like your money is making decisions in your life that you prefer it doesn't make, which I get wholeheartedly because this was the situation I was in years ago. And even at the level I'm at now, right? Sometimes money chooses for me. It's like, I want to go do this thing, but money says no. And so when money says no, and I feel like, okay, there's going to be some FOMO because I want to go do this thing and money told me no, then instead of shutting down, what I do is ask myself, what goals do I need to make sure that money never chooses for me again, right? Or how do I better need to manage my time in order to make sure time does not choose for me? And you can use this however you would like, but what goals are going to support you being able to follow those intuitive nudges rather than, everything else that comes into your life and maybe takes you away from what you really, really want to experience for yourself, okay? And then lastly with FOMO, if you cannot problem solve through it, if you, have set your goals just based on what you were able to problem solve or not, then you have to allow yourself to just be willing to feel all of the emotions of not attending said thing, whatever it is, okay? You're going to feel emotions. And it's because, again, you desired to be there. And something said no, okay? And if you tried to problem solve and you weren't able to figure out the problem solving by the time you wanted to be there, and and then you go and you set your goals, and then the event is coming up or it happens, you're going to have emotions because you're human. And because you're in whatever position you're in while you're maybe watching everything happen that you wanted to experience in your own life. So it's natural that there's going to be feelings there. And I don't think that there's necessarily, I think if someone's goal is, I don't want to feel FOMO, they have to be very mindful of intentionally loving their reasons for why they counted themselves out or are not doing the thing that intuitively they felt drawn to do. So it's like you have to almost sell yourself on your reasons so deeply that there's nothing you would fear missing out on, right? You feel very content in what you chose and you feel very confident in what you chose. And, and that's why I say, like, if you feel FOMO and you problem solve, there's two things that are going to happen. Either you problem solve and you are able to do the thing that you once feared missing out on, or if you get very clear on like, okay, I wasn't able to solve it at this time, so I can love my reasons for not attending because I tried and I problem solved and I put in A for effort on my end and it didn't work out, and I love my reasons for not, doing any more, or I love my reasons for why I'm going to stay back, or I love my reasons for, how this is transpiring, and I'm okay with it. I'm good. Okay. And so that's one way that you can kind of, work through the FOMO if you're like, I just really don't want to feel it. But I also think with humans, we're just going to feel the emotions and have to be willing to feel that. Sometimes there are going to be things that we really want to do that we're not able to do, and we're going to feel sad about it. Okay. We're going to feel really, really sad about it. And that's okay. If anything, it tells you what you really want, and it will take you back to maybe the goals you need to set to make sure that, you are changing your actions or your thoughts and like doing the work on yourself to make sure that you don't end up in that situation over and over and over again. So anytime that I've had to sit with FOMO and it's felt terrible, it's always been a clear indicator to me of what I'm really wanting or seeking or desiring and what needs to happen in my life, what I need to change, what I need to grow in, what I need to work on to make sure that that's not a thing as much as possible. Like, is it naturally going to happen as I'm growing and evolving? Yes, because there's always new levels to reach and things I may want to do that I'm not always able to do when I want to do them. But it always is a teaching moment for me of like, okay, I hear you, intuition. I hear exactly what you're wanting. And I'm going to make sure we become the woman that it doesn't feel like something external is making my decisions for me. I'm making my decisions for me. So even if that's not this time, the work I'm going to do between now and the next time something may become available is to get myself in a position where external things, people, situations, money, time, whatever, where that doesn't tell me no, where I feel in full authority of the decisions I make. Make sense? Okay. Now let's talk about, not wanting or not feeling wanted or fitting into a group setting. So the way that I want to start this is by you reflecting. If you've ever been in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, maybe there's this group thing that I want to do, or this group I want to be involved in, or these people I want to be involved with, but I feel like I'm not wanted and I don't feel like I'm going to fit in a group setting. First of all, very normal thing, especially normal if said people and said group are inviting you to grow in some way. And I mean and I don't even mean on a personal development scale. I mean, even in just awareness of how you count yourself out, awareness of confidence you currently lack. Just being around other people often invites us to grow in some way. And it can feel very intimidating. There's even groups that I'm intimidated to be in, and not because they've ever made me feel small, or not because they've ever said anything to me that would ever degrade me or make me feel like I don't fit in with them, but literally because of what they exemplify or how they live, that would mean I have to up-level myself to be in that group. And that feels very scary and daunting sometimes. So I'll give you more examples of that in a minute. But here's the first thing that I would like to invite you to think about and to ask yourself whenever you don't feel wanted or don't feel like you're going to fit in with a certain group. It's asking, is that the actual truth that I'm not wanted or that I don't fit in? Or is that just my own subconscious thoughts? Did I make that up? Am I making that up because of insecurity I feel, or lack of confidence that I feel, or fear I feel to insert myself into this group? Or is it the actual truth that they have said, you're not wanted here, you're not welcome here, or you don't fit in here? Because those are two totally different things. And for most people, most times, it's not that anybody has told them that they're not welcome. It's usually that is a story that is going on in their mind from previous experiences elsewhere, from childhood, from, it could be from bullying, it could be from trauma of being the lonely kid that didn't have a lot of friends. It could be, there's a multitude of ways that this kind of programming can show up. It could also be the desire to fit in with a group before you feel ready to fit in with that group. So again, I'm going to give an example of that at the end. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and how this has shown up for me, because I'm with you, right? I'm not exempt from any of this either. And I think sharing my real life experiences can be helpful in knowing you're not alone if you have felt this. But let's say that the actual truth is that someone has said, you're not wanted, you're not welcome, you don't fit in. If that has happened, you really want to get clear on, were those words actually said to me? How can I be certain that it is true that I'm not wanted or that I don't fit in? And if you have been told that, if you have downright evidence that a group has said, you're not welcome here, you're not allowed in here, you can't be here, then ask yourself, do I want to continue to put myself in environments where I am treated this way or excluded in this way if this is in fact true? Okay? Because again, that's very different to think you're not welcome in a group and have never been told that, versus to want to be in a group and actually be told or treated in such a way where you feel exile in a group. And if you have felt that, it's a key indicator this is probably not my group, or these are probably not my people. because you have to remember you are worthy of love always. You are worthy of being heard. You're worthy of having space held for you. You are worthy of friendship. You are worthy of all of the things. So if anybody is actually treating you in such a way where you do not feel welcome, okay, you need to really be observant of that and ask yourself why you would try to keep inserting yourself in a place where those are the people that are around, and why you would accept that treatment, or why you would even want to continue putting yourself in a position to engage in that way. Because there are a lot of groups of people out there. There are a lot of people in general out there. There are plenty of people to love us and support us the way that we deserve. And anytime it's less than that, I would just say be very mindful of the treatment that you allow. But then there's also the flip side of the coin, right? Where whenever we think, okay, I'm not wanted, or I don't feel like I'm going to fit in a certain group setting, a lot of it can be made up in our mind because of our own self-doubts, because of our own discomfort, our own, again, lack of confidence. If we just feel a little bit like, I'm at such a different level than everybody else, I'm in such a different place than everybody else, then it's not that the group themselves are counting us out. It's oftentimes that we are. And you want to be really introspective on on that as well within yourself when you are counting yourself out. And I'm going to share with you some of the ways that this came up for me years ago that really actually showed me where more work was needed on myself. So anytime I count myself out of something, of an experience, I count myself out of a group, and I have evidence that they've never done that to me, like I'm doing it to myself, I am always very introspective about why. And I was just sharing this with a client of mine recently that was asking a little bit about the hybrid experience, and I was telling her the whole reason I created it to be what it is. And so I'm going to give you this example. So in my hybrid experience program, I give it's 6 months of advanced emotional intelligence work, and the women get both one-on-one coaching and group. And the reason that they get both, a hybrid of both, is because while one-on-one coaching is fantastic for getting the direct attention that you need, group brings out so much crap within ourselves, because other people, and putting yourself in a group setting, will mirror things to you that you don't always see in yourself. It will mirror work that you have to do within yourself that you didn't know was there. It will pose questions within your mind that you didn't even know were floating around. Group is such a powerful experience to put yourself in, because hearing how other people think, hearing how other people's mind works, it will show you things that you are doing well, things you're not doing well. It's just a very transformational experience. And I learned probably the most about myself really early on in coaching in group, because that was all I could afford at the time. It was more expensive to work with my coach one-on-one than it was to do group. So I did group, and I learned so much. So in hybrid experience, my clients get both. We do a group call where they learn very specific skills. They watch each other get coached. They get coached when they need to. And then based on what lands for them in that call, the following week they get one-on-one, so we can go even deeper. And I can really get in on whatever they noticed within themselves, or what I noticed happening within them on the group call, because body language is everything. So sometimes on their one-on-ones, I call them out and I'm like, what was happening on group? You were I could feel your energy. I could see you kind of squirming. All of that to say, then at the end of this 6-month experience, they get an in-person retreat, because in-person also elicits a lot within us. Being in an environment with people that we know but don't know well can also invite us to a lot. And it invites a lot of thoughts like, again, I don't belong, or it feels like all of them are close. It feels like I'm not close. It feels like all of these things, or I am shocked I opened up with some people, or for some reason I feel myself holding myself back. There's just so much to even be learned in a group coaching retreat. Okay. So in hybrid experience, I don't make my clients choose between, do you need one-on-one, do you need group, do you need a retreat? They get to have it all in a bundled price of one. It's so much bang for their buck. And the reason I meticulously designed hybrid experience that way is because I want you so triggered and so activated and so engulfed in all of the things coaching offers that you get a huge transformation really, really quickly in 6 months. Okay. So here's what I will tell you, like part of the reason I designed this way based on my own experience. A few years ago, my coach was getting married and she sent me a text that said, "Hey, I just wanted to ask you if you would want to celebrate my, bachelorette party with me. We're getting married this year and I'm pretty sure you're coming, but I'm also doing a small little bachelorette party and we're going to go to Arizona and I just want to know if you'd be in." Okay, so here's the thing. My intuition immediately was like, hell yes, I'm so in. I so want to do this. I so want to be around my coach in a friend-like vibe because we were, friends. We've always kept our relationship very professional when she's coaching me. And then on the side, every now and then we do things together as friends. And so I was so excited. Like, I'm so excited to be in her energy, for a couple days as a friend and just get to celebrate this exciting time in her life. Because when I met my coach, she had just gone through like a horrendous breakup. And I remember actually watching her get coached by her coach at one of our retreats, on the painfulness when she realized that this ex that had, I think, cheated on her was engaged to be married. And it just brought up a lot of pain for her for a multitude of ways. And so anyways, she was getting married to the man of her dreams. And she wanted, to invite me to celebrate with her in Arizona. And so I had this gut hell yes, my intuitive hell yes, I want to go. And then all of a sudden I could feel internally like a little bit of fear because my business wasn't where it is now. My money situation wasn't where it is now. This had happened like when she was doing the bachelorette party, it was maybe 1 year into the COVID weirdness. My occupational therapy caseload was so low. And when I say so low, you guys, like I think I was making $300 a month. And literally the only reason that I was surviving was because I had worked my business and built my business up enough where I was maybe bringing in like $1,000 a month or maybe $2,000 a month. Like it was rescuing us because my OT, occupational therapy career, had really fallen apart during COVID. None of the parents, obviously, for obvious reasons, wanted therapists coming inside their home when there was all this scare around COVID. And so I didn't have, once again, money was really choosing for me. And I really didn't have a lot of money to go, but I was a hell yes. Like I really wanted to be there. So I texted her back and I said, I would absolutely love to celebrate you. Can you please send me just information on the hotel and what airport to fly into so I can just make arrangements and figure out how much it's going to cost. But I really would love to celebrate you. And a couple minutes goes by and she texts back and she was like, "Oh girl, I just need to know if you're a yes because I'm paying for literally everything. In fact, at the time I only lived maybe like an hour away from my coach in Kentucky." And so she was like, I'm paying for everything. In fact, we're going to take a private jet to Arizona. So you would just come over to my house. You can spend the night. I hired a private car service to take us to the private airport and we're going to fly in a private jet. When I tell you guys everything in me, like it's like there was a half of me that was so excited and like, oh my gosh, highest self, hell yes, I get to be on a private jet. This is like on my dream board. How exciting. And the other half of me was like, I absolutely cannot go. I absolutely cannot go. I thought I don't deserve to go. I don't deserve to be in the presence of them when I don't make near the money that my coach makes or a lot of her friends make, because a lot of her friends are also clients of hers. And a lot of them, I was in the exact same coaching programs and calls with them. The difference was they were always very coachable. Anything my coach said to them, like, you need to work on this, and this, they'd be like, okay, and they'd go do it. Anytime my coach was like, you need to work on this, and this, I'd be like, oh, but that's hard because of my trauma. Oh, but this is what I'm struggling with. Oh, but I'm so upset with such and such person. And I really stalled my own progress throughout the years because I had such a hard time letting go of things. And I was just so in my way and so resistant to change. Like I really did feel like the biggest pain in the butt for my coach. And so I just felt like unworthy. I really felt unworthy. Like I felt so excited and so unworthy. But she didn't tell me I was unworthy, right? She was inviting me to go. And my brain was like, she doesn't really want you to go. But it's like, then why text? You know what I mean? Like, why would she text you to go if she didn't want you to go? You know what I'm saying? So I was in this argument with my brain of being invited to something so amazing and having this internal drama of I'm so not welcome in that group. I'm not wanted. I'm not going to fit in. Long story short, I go to TJ Maxx. I get me some fresh outfits, right? I go through my closet and pick out my best things that I've owned for like 8 years, probably some of it in high school. And I just show up as my highest self, even though I don't feel like my highest self at all. I get to her house. I'm hanging out with friends of hers that I've known for years that I also coached with in her group programs early on. And we get on the private jet. And it's just, I had mind drama the whole time. Fast forward, we get to Arizona. My coach had all of these amazing things planned. Like she had a spa day that was planned for us where she was paying for us to have facials and massages. And we get to the spa and I get to my massage part and the massage therapist asked me if I want to add on, a special scent. She's like, we've got like orange blossom, we've got lavender, we've got eucalyptus. You can get it with hot stones or whatever. And I'm like, oh yes, that would be great. And so I pick out my scent, and the whole time I'm getting my massage, I'm literally drowning in guilt. Like, oh my God, what if my coach did not pay for add-ons? Why did I just say yes to an add-on when I shouldn't have said yes to an add-on? Now that's going to be on her bill. And keep in mind, my coach at this time, not that this matters, but my coach at this time is making like $8 million a year. But I'm freaking out over my $20 add-on because again, I'm struggling with, I don't deserve to be here. I'm not worthy. I'm not making this amount of money. And all of my peers that continued on with coaching when I kind of dropped back, at that time, like I was making, I think $40,000 in my business in a year, and they were making like $500,000 to $800,000. All of this to say that this whole experience, the week of the Bachelorette, like I was really counting myself out. I would see them having conversations and I would overhear and I'd want to go insert myself in just as a listener and feel like I could contribute to certain things that I was great at. And my brain would be like, you don't deserve to be over there. You don't deserve to be talking to them. You're not wanted here. Why did you come? It was, my brain was being so mean to me. And not a single woman at that retreat ever said, or not retreat, the bachelorette party, ever said, Macy, you're not welcome. Like if anything, they invited me over. They're like, oh, hey girl, come over here. We're just talking about XYZ. And they'd ask me about myself. Being in that setting really taught me my own insecurity. It really taught me where I was counting myself out. It taught me where I didn't feel comfortable in my money situation. It taught me what I needed to work on, like what levels I needed to get better at in feeling contentment and being more proud of myself and not beating myself up and allowing myself to grow and stretch and put myself around people that are ahead of me and bigger rooms where I feel like a little tiny shrimp, because that's how I felt. I felt like a little tiny shrimp in this huge ocean. And I felt like they were all like beautiful, like dolphins and whales, you know what I mean? And I mean that in like a very beautiful way. And I felt like the little shrimp that just shouldn't be there and shouldn't be hanging around. And so all of this to say is that when you are feeling not wanted and you don't feel like you fit in, I really do believe it is such an invitation for growth. If you're not directly being told you're not wanted here, you don't fit in here, if no one has said that to you and this is just an internal battle you are feeling within yourself, it is such an invitation to rise up to that and to feel that discomfort. I've had that happen with clients at the hybrid experience retreats. I've had them, really like start to pull away sometimes in the group, and me notice that. And I notice it because it's me, right? I notice it because I've been there. I notice it because of how strongly those emotions have come up for me when I'm putting myself in positions to grow and fit in and be bigger and allow myself to be loved and wanted, something that from childhood trauma I never really felt. My background, my story, I know this is getting a little deep and going on a tangent, but my mom got pregnant with me as a teen mom, and my grandparents made her have an abortion, and the abortion did not work on me. And growing up, there was a lot of pain and a lot of arguments between my mom being angry that she was forced to have an abortion and my grandparents thinking that was the best option at the time, and then feeling, regret that they had made her do that because it was very traumatic. And for my mom, my mom didn't raise me. My grandparents ended up raising me. And so there was a lot of tension throughout my life of, well, this is why we didn't want you to, get pregnant that young, because now you have to be an adult when, you could have been a kid. And there was just a lot of arguments. And my takeaway as a kid, even though this was never said to me verbatim, my feeling as a kid was you're just so unwanted. You were unwanted from the get-go. The abortion didn't work. Otherwise, you truly weren't wanted. You know what I'm saying? And so any example that I collected of that within my childhood, my young adulthood, even my, 20s, I would just automatically go to you're unwanted. And that's what I felt when I was sitting on the plane. That's what I felt when women, were gathering and I felt like I couldn't insert myself. It was never that anybody told me I was unwanted. If anything, I was invited there because I was wanted. There was something in my presence where I was wanted, but my brain just couldn't get behind that. And I notice when it comes up for other people, when they're quiet in a group setting, when they're quiet at the retreat, and I'm always, really diligent about coming back and bringing them in and coaching them really hard through those moments, through those tears, through the frustration that they feel, because it's never that the group does not want them there. It's usually whatever they need to work on within themselves. And so all of this to say, I love the person who asked this question, and I hope that, and I don't know who it is because it's anonymous, but I hope that this really helps you. And I really think that this episode is going to help so many people. So as a recap, if you struggle with FOMO, I really want you to get clear on understanding that that's probably because intuitively you want to be there. You desire to be there. Why are you counting yourself out? If it is truly something that is an obstacle standing in your way, how are you problem solving to better yourself and get there? If it is a problem you cannot solve, what goals are you setting to make sure that nothing like that really happens, again, as much as what is within your control is what I'm trying to say. And if you are just simply counting yourself out because you fear you won't fit in with a group or you fear you're not wanted, just know that is such an invitation. If no one has said that to you, it is such an invitation to explore your own insecurities and your doubts, and where your brain is inviting you to grow, where your brain is inviting you to be more confident, where your brain is inviting you to insert yourself into rooms where maybe you are the shrimp and they are the dolphins, right? Or they are the beautiful whales migrating. You know what I mean? Like, they're in a beautiful place and you're shrinking yourself because you're like, I'm so far from that place. But you can't get to the dolphin or to the whale if you continue to count yourself as a shrimp. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, as much as I hated feeling like a shrimp, I'm like, I have to go swim with the dolphins, or I'm never going to be a dolphin, right? I'm never going to be able to hang with the dolphins if I don't get out of the environment where I'm a shrimp. It's easy to hang around other shrimp. You know what I'm saying? That's easier because maybe I feel like the big shrimp of the bunch. And when I'm hanging around other shrimp, I'm like, I'm a big shrimp here. I feel really good. And as soon as I go and I encounter a dolphin, I'm like, oh my God, I want to throw up. Like, I'm not welcome here. This dolphin doesn't want me here. I'm a shrimp. You know what I'm saying? But in order to learn how to become a dolphin, what you love about being a dolphin, why you like being around the dolphins, you have to hang around the dolphins while feeling sometimes like a shrimp, and get coaching on all of the reasons you feel that way so that you can let go of those beliefs and transition into the beautiful dolphin. Okay, I know that's a dumb visual, but if you have hung around me for any given amount of time, you know that really weird visuals are the way that I teach because I'm such a visual learner. So if you ever have the blessing of being coached by me, or you put yourself in anything free that I do, or you're just an avid listener of the podcast, it's like you're probably going to learn some really strange visuals that hopefully will help you. So anyways, you guys, that's what I have for today's FOMO episode. And go out there and get them. Go put yourself in uncomfortable environments. Listen to your gut. Listen to your intuition. Follow what it says. It will not mislead you. So go do that. All right. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. If you want to enroll in the next round of hybrid, you still have time to do that. Just reach out to me. There are a few spaces available, and I would love to have you in there if you're ready for that advanced work. If you are not quite ready for advanced work and you need more foundational work, a little bit more of flexibility with showing up to coaching and having support, then I encourage you to look into the Equipped Society. And if you have questions about any of the ways that you can work with me, always go to MacyRenee.com and schedule a free 60-minute consult. We will talk about everything going on in your life, where you want to be, why you're not there, and what options I have to help you. And then you can move forward if it feels good. And if it doesn't, that's okay too. So have a great day, you guys. I will see you next week. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of This Is Not Your Practice Life podcast. If you'd like to connect on social media, you can find me on both Instagram and Facebook at Macy Renee Coaching. And if you want to stay up to date on all of my offers, announcements, and inspirational emails, you can join my email list at MacyRenee.com. In addition, if there's a way that I can further support you in your coaching journey, you can schedule a free 60-minute consult at MacyRenee.com anytime you want so we can discuss the best options for you. I look forward to seeing you next week, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.